Welcome back to the Whirlpool, where fibs and fabrications are pulled under and drowned. I'm Michael Worley. Well, it seems that no matter how strongly we protest, we, the godly, the bold, the fearless who refuse to bend the knee to any earthly authority, having pledged our lives and blood to the service of His Excellency President Donald John Trump, as well as the one true church, and, of course, our Heavenly Father, will remain under the thumb of the COVID-capitulating cowards in our government and their fiendish puppet masters at the CDC and WHO. Enjoy your American tax dollars while they last, comrades. This pandemic panic and all the lockdowns and shutdowns associated with it will only end, it seems, when these illegitimate civil authorities are satisfied that the coronavirus outbreak has run its course. Very well then, I say we give them what they want. Inspired by a viewer question I answered last week, and in the spirit of Jonathan Swift, a brilliant political philosopher from centuries past who has been grossly misunderstood, I hereby offer a pious proposal. Step 1. We immediately rescind all stay-at-home orders, social distancing guidelines, and requirements for wearing masks in public, reopen businesses and churches, restart sports leagues, and get this nation back to work. Some of you are out there saying, but Michael, won't that mean more people will get infected with the virus, leading inevitably to more deaths? 2 points. First, I'm still not convinced this virus is even real. People die of the flu by the millions every year, so I don't see what the difference is. Second, if this coronavirus really is as real and as bad as people say, increasing the rate of infection is the point. The sooner everyone catches the virus and either fights it off or succumbs to it, the sooner this will all be over, and those of us who still have our lives can get back to them.
We turn our attention now to the decision of the United States Supreme Court in the matter of Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka. Though I have spent this past week praying to our Heavenly Father for wisdom, I must confess I remain befuddled by this entire affair. The objection to racial segregation of our public education system seems to be that it is wrong to have separate schools for each of the races. But I ask you, where is this moral outrage when it comes to separate schools for each of the religions? Why is it unacceptable to have separate schools for white children and black, but perfectly acceptable to have separate schools for Catholic children? Such ponderings aside, I do not wish to entirely disparage the decision of the court in this matter. There is some shred of wisdom to be found in its proclamation that to mandate such separation is to mandate inequality, whether that is the conscious intention or not. We can see this illustrated quite clearly in the example of the religious schools. Who can deny that our Catholic schools are superior to American public schools in every way? There is only one solution, as I see it. The Supreme Court should compel all students to attend Catholic schools. It would be good for the students, most of whom would be receiving a proper Christian education for the first time, and good for the Church, which, having assumed the burden of public education, would rightly be entitled to all public funding currently directed to secular schools. And if anyone would have a problem with that, citing the obscure constitutional doctrine of separation of church and state, perhaps, we need merely point out that the Supreme Court of the United States has decided that separate but equal is no longer an acceptable arrangement. Let those insolent fellows chew on that a while. And now, a word from our generous sponsors at the Pioneer Fund.
Which brings me to step 2. Once the country has been reopened, we deliberately infect every man, woman, and child in this country with the coronavirus. Once everyone has been infected, one of the most harmful aspects of this pandemic will be neutralized. There will be no more fear of getting infected because everyone will be infected. There are benefits to mass infection beyond counteracting the fear caused by the virus. It will increase the rate of immunity and resistance to the virus in the population because everyone incapable of resisting the virus and recovering from its effects will be dead. It will save billions of dollars that will otherwise be wasted by doctors and scientists to develop a vaccine. It will significantly decrease both unemployment and the number of people drawing welfare benefits. It will give a desperately needed boost to our economy by greatly creating jobs and increasing demand for the products and services in a broad array of fields. And I'm not just talking about hospitals. Think of the boon it would mean to the many different kinds of companies in the funeral industry alone. Funeral homes, florists, printers, cemeteries, many of which are owned by churches. Which brings me to my final point. Not only will intentional mass infection benefit the church by compelling people to purchase plots in church graveyards, the grief many people experience will drive them to their knees, begging for our Heavenly Father to spare their lives or praying for the souls of their dearly departed loved ones. Such things are pleasing to God, as it also pleases Him to see us emulating Him, striving earnestly, though imperfectly, to make His ways our ways. Our Heavenly Father loves to work His will through plagues. Let us remember the 10 plagues of Egypt. Let us also remember that the Apocalypse of St. John reveals that God intends to unleash plagues upon humanity during the end of days. I know He's omnipotent, but I'm sure He'd appreciate the helping hand nevertheless. This proposal of mine is practical, it is logical, and it is spiritual. Therefore, let no one speak to me of other solutions, of continued social distancing, of expanded testing, of contact tracing, of vaccine research, of mail-in elections, of government relief payments, of teaching landlords to have a degree of mercy toward their tenants. Let no one speak to me of these or any other solutions. It would be pointless, since there is no solution better than the one I have proposed. And nobody really wants to do any of those other things anyway, so why waste our time? For the Whirlpool, I'm Michael Worley.